Hey y'all, I haven't played with my single eyeshadows in a while and I just sat down to do it and I decided to film it. Primarily, I think it's time to fully dismantle these palettes, which both of them were palettes that I put together at some point, and actually both of them I did it on camera. I put them together because I had an inspiration. So I was inspired by Terry Barber for this one. For this one, I was inspired by the Natasha Denona Bronze palette. And both of them have lost shadows since then. You can see I've removed them and put them back in their original palettes in the case of some of these Natasha Denona shades, or just put them in other places. And rather than reassembling both of these, I think I'm just going to go ahead and fully disassemble them and put the singles away. And the same is true of this one, actually. There used to be 6 shadows in here, and now there are just 2 because the other ones went other places. So that's my first project. I'm going to kind of like return all of these to the palettes that they came from. And then I'm going to play and probably build myself another custom palette to work from over the course of the next couple of weeks. But I don't really have an agenda. I'm just going to be inspired and see where it leads me. And I hope that you will enjoy being along for the ride. If this is your first time to my channel, I'm so glad that you're here. I'm Hannah. I love beautiful things. And I do film this kind of video from time to time. So if you like this, subscribe. Now let's go ahead and get into the meat of the video. Oh no. Basically, the first eyeshadow I touched came unstuck from its magnet. I feel like maybe it's going to be one of those days. All right, there are all of the shadows that were in those little palettes. They do look very pretty together. I like this a lot, but I'm going to go ahead and put them away. And let's start with the ones that are from palettes rather than the ones that just exist only as singles. So some of these are from Natasha Denona palettes, and some of them are from Alter Ego palettes. Oh, here it is. Something's missing. No, I think that this is just in the wrong place. This is supposed to be here. And in fact, these are both matte shadows, so nothing is missing. Gosh, the gold palette is just very repetitive with these 3 mattes, I feel. But at least I didn't lose something or put something in the wrong place. Okay, crisis averted. Okay, so these are all just single shadows. None of them live in pre-made palettes. And I think that for today, I want to build my own palette, and I want it to be just out of singles. I don't want to take anything from my pre-made palettes because I've realized, as much as I love doing that, especially with the Natasha Denona shades, I've realized recently that because I make content on YouTube, a lot of times I'm trying to reach for those palettes and show them or use them. So I'll end up dismantling my custom palette in pretty short order in order to reconstitute one of the other palettes, like one of these, pre-made palettes for the sake of YouTube content. So I feel like if I build myself a custom palette just out of my singles, the ones that are officially singles and they're only singles, it'll probably last longer. Like I'll be more likely to keep it together for longer. But I think I'll go ahead and just put them all away and like reset everything completely before I build, rather than like picking from these little guys, picking any ones that I'm interested in. I'm just going to put them all away. So there are all the square shadows. Here's where I keep the round ones. Okay, that's it. I put them all away. I don't know if I'll be able to get every single one in frame, but I can try. Pretty much, actually. Even though some of them, you're just seeing part of it, you're at least seeing part of every single every single eyeshadow that I have right now. So from here, let's just pick a couple to start with. Let's like pick some inspo. I've actually been, surprise, surprise, I've been feeling really inspired by the super shiny ones as I've been moving them around. It's been a long time since I really dug into some of these Colourpop glitters. I actually haven't been dipping into my Clionadh shadows lately, so I'm tempted to pick a couple of them, but maybe not the ones that I tend to initially think of when I think of my Clionadh shadows. Maybe I should not choose the ones that are my first instinct to choose. Lately, when I've been putting eyeshadow on, I've really just been wanting like a grungy bronze, grungy, pretty neutral. I don't feel very inclined right now to pick much that's going to push me into kind of the blue or green territory. I kind of want to stick with those grungy neutral tones, maybe some warmth, maybe some red. And actually that stipulation to not include green does move most of the Clionadh shades off the map, or green and blue, because a lot of them, even if they seem pretty neutral, they have like a pretty blue reflect like that one. But maybe what I want is not necessarily to exclude green, but to exclude like brighter greens, more greeny greens like these ones, but not necessarily to exclude these like chartreusey greens, because I'm really kind of feeling into this one right now. I think I want to include that one in my little palette. I think what I'm kind of feeling is easy stuff. Like I really want it to all be easy stuff, the shadows that I pick. And I want it to be some grungy stuff and some very shiny stuff. Easy, shiny, grungy stuff is what I want. And maybe leaning neutral. Easy, shiny, grungy, neutral stuff is what I want, because I want it to be approachable. I want it to be a palette that I feel like I can just grab and like do stuff with. I want it to make me want to apply eyeshadow, and then I don't want to feel like I've got too much going on once that eyeshadow is applied. This is always a good one for that. This is Natasha Denona Sienna. I feel like I can't build a palette without including Sydney Grace Defiance. It's just, it looks so juicy in the pan. I mean, honestly, look at that. So here are the shadows that I've picked so far, just sort of going on instinct. I am, it appears, interested in green right now, just really, really grungy, bronzy greens. You know what I mean? Like really, really mucky, super mucky greens. And I love this direction for me. This is definitely providing some guidance. And I think I do want to include all 4 of these. So I look at them and I ask myself, if I were building a look with these shades, like if I went into a palette and I grabbed like this all over the lid, and then I was darkening the outer corner and providing some dimension for myself with this one, what else might I want? Like what might I feel like I was lacking, especially when it comes to utilitarian stuff? Like, are there any matte shadows that I feel like I might want to pair with these? I actually really liked having this matte cream in my Terry Barber inspired palette. I found it really useful for cleaning up the edges, for keeping a grungy look from getting too messy, or at least kind of controlling how messy it ever ended up being. So I might include that. This is JD Glow Unexpected, which does have some blue in it, a little bit, but it's still definitely a neutral shadow. I mean, even though it has a tiny bit of multicolored reflect, I don't feel like it's pushing my collection of shadows in an uncomfortably colorful direction. And I've been missing this shadow. I think I'm going to include it. When I just had these 3, one of the things that I really liked was how this sort of rose gold provides dimension. And so I wonder if I should bring in an eyeshadow that has something kind of like that, like a bronzy with a little bit of a rose feel about it, to like expand that element. I believe this is one of the few shades that I still have from the original Jaclyn Hill palette, the palette that Jaclyn Hill did with Morphe. It could work. Yeah, and I could see myself like with this palette, which is going to be pretty grungy and rich, opening it just on a day where I didn't want to do all that much and being relieved that this shadow is in there because I could just put this all over my lids. Yeah, I think that's it. I think that's it. I don't want very many shadows in this little palette, because that's another thing that will make it easier to actually use, more approachable. So let me just see where these could go. Okay, I put them like this because I really liked this original quad, the first 4 that I picked. I feel really inspired by the way that these kind of interact with each other and speak to each other. So I decided to group them together in half of my palette. And then these 4 are kind of like the best supporting actresses. You know what I mean? Like they're the ones that I brought in to augment the initial quad. So that's kind of how I'm going to think of it going forward. There's that initial group of 4. Ooh, I love this so much. I feel like this is an amazing quad. I'm really pleased with this. I can't wait to put this on my eyes. This is Weathered, the Clionadh shade. This is a Natasha Denona single called Sienna. This right here is Sydney Grace Defiance. So pretty. And then this is a Colourpop glitter. I can't remember what it's called. Hold on. Renegade. The Colourpop shade is called Renegade. Yeah, really into that. 100% here for that. And there are the other 4 shades, the supporting shades. And this is the Adept Shadow. It's not swatching like much, but this is a great shade. I really love these Adept mattes, and I'll tell you the number in a second. This right here is JD Glow Unexpected, one of the best. This, I can't remember what this is. Oh yeah, this is colored Raine Golden Olive. This is another one that I'm constantly reaching for when I put palettes together. It's just so attractive to me. And the matte is called ACM 23. And then this last one is the one from the original Jaclyn Hill palette with Morphe, not the favorites palette, but you know, the one called the Jaclyn Hill palette. And I don't remember what it was called. I don't remember the names of those shades anymore. But you know, it's this kind of like oily, thick, oily, almost creamy formula. I think these shades from this palette, which I depotted a long time ago and then have been kind of decluttering ever since, they've aged variously. Like some of them aged better than others. Some of them really dried out. And this one's still in pretty good shape. The oiliness of it kind of served this one well. What a pretty palette. This really reminds me of the 9-pan palette that I built the first time that I did that, when I did that, like, you know, creating my own 9-pan. I think because I think Weathered was in that palette. It's sort of like a feature. And the other shade, and actually Unexpected might even have been in it. This might contain a number of those same shades. This one might even have been in it too. There are a bunch of keystone shades here that are similar to that one. But I'm thinking of this more as something that will be super functional for me, inspiring, functional, approachable to me, and exciting to use in the coming weeks. I am excited to use it. These are really my vibes right now. I'm so glad that these last two shades are in here because I feel like they will really help me out again on days when I don't feel like going for shiny, grungy business. These are going to really like make it super approachable and super versatile for me. But I am excited to dig into these other ones too. This is just the perfect palette for me right now. And I'm happy to report that I really actually do feel like putting these shadows on my eyes right now. I'll probably go directly to my mirror as soon as I finish filming and apply these eyeshadows. And I didn't feel like that when I first sat down. I just felt like I needed to reorganize my shadows. I didn't particularly feel like wearing makeup today. So it's a testament to how much playing and playtime and just a little bit of Zen reorganization can do to inspire and energize us. And I really recommend spending some time with your makeup today in this same way. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I really hope that you are remembering to take extra good care of yourself so that you can be the most effective version of yourself as you do your work in the world.